On the wedding day, the makeup artist noticed the ceremony was booked at a high-end hotel. She suddenly changed the entire makeup look we had previously agreed on. My husband jokingly asked her, "What? Do you want me to marry a Crayon Shin-chan look-alike?" Turns out the expensive makeup artist was my husband's ex-girlfriend. Watching the familiar attitude between the two, I removed my makeup on the spot and called off the engagement. Charlie was about to stop me when Amanda suddenly stood on her tiptoes and kissed him on the lips. Only then did I notice the meticulously applied makeup beneath her mask. So, she was trying to steal the groom. I raised my eyebrows. What needs to be taken over in a wedding heist isn't just the man. The remaining $700,000 for the extravagant banquet was paid in full by the bride's family. Hopefully, she can take that over too. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Last night, I stayed up late discussing the wedding details with both sets of parents. I went to bed very late. I had to get up extra early today. So when the makeup artist greeted me, I was still a bit groggy. As soon as the makeup artist entered, she began surveying the hotel's surroundings. When she noticed the gold jewelry and expensive accessories prepared on the table, her hands paused slightly while organizing her makeup bag. Hee, Miss Daisy, your husband treats you so well, doesn't he? Booking such a high-end hotel for your wedding and preparing such respectable gold jewelry. It's truly enviable. Isn't it expensive? I'm so jealous of you for finding such a generous man. Hearing this, I felt somewhat annoyed. All the expenses for today's wedding were covered by my family. Yet she assumed it was the groom's side paying without even knowing the facts. But I didn't need to explain this to an outsider. I nodded, not taking it to heart. She suddenly yanked open her makeup bag, looking at me with a mocking smile. "Miss Daisy, why do women nowadays love stealing others' things so much? Are they just born shameless?" To be honest, listening to these inexplicable words, I was already getting a bit angry. But now it's too late to change to another makeup artist. After applying the base makeup, I fell asleep. During the makeup session, I kept my eyes closed the whole time, pretending to be asleep. After all, she's a makeup artist from a prestigious brand store. I'm not worried about her stealing anything. I figured if there was any need for me to open my eyes, the makeup artist would proactively communicate with me and make requests. But when I opened my eyes again, I was startled by the unfamiliar face in the mirror. Frowning, I was just about to ask the makeup artist what she was up to. My mind was already racing with thoughts of how to claim compensation. This counted as a major work blunder. But when I looked over, I saw the makeup artist struggling to hold back laughter. Her head bowed. Her shoulders kept shaking uncontrollably, as if she had witnessed something utterly ridiculous. Gradually, I began to sense that something was off. Clearly, this was done on purpose. To be fair, I don't recall ever offending her. Frowning while pondering the possibilities, meeting my gaze, the girl could no longer hold back and burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, laughing while running behind Charlie, who had just opened the door and entered, tiny hands tugging at Charlie's suit jacket from behind. I'm sorry, Charlie. I didn't mean to laugh. I really didn't expect Miss Daisy's face to be so suitable for makeup. After speaking, she continued covering her face, stifling her laughter. Seeing my ridiculous appearance, she hid behind Charlie with malicious glee. Hearing her call out Charlie's name, my sense of foreboding grew stronger. My intuition has always been sharp. This girl knew Charlie, and were quite familiar with each other. I don't want to think about the worst-case scenario. I frowned and looked at Charlie. What does this mean? Did you know each other before? What's going on now? Is this a wedding or a theatrical performance? Charlie was also taken aback when he saw my face. He helplessly glanced at the girl behind him but refrained from scolding her. My previously agitated mood suddenly felt as if doused by a bucket of cold water. Charlie leaned back in his chair, looking at the girl with a familiar tone. Everything was fine the last few times. Why did it fail again today? What? You want me to marry a Crayon Shin-chan? He looked at her with amusement. The girl shrank her neck, stuck out her tongue, and made a bleh sound. You want me to do your bride's makeup? I'm not that generous. After saying this, she looked at my face with a half-smile, waiting to see me make a fool of myself. I took out my phone and found the contact information of the backup makeup artist. Make her apologize to me. I'll call someone to come and redo my makeup. I won't go down until it's done. Let's talk about compensation later. I can't be bothered to care how the two of them met. Today is my wedding day. And the guests my parents invited are all business partners. I don't want any last-minute mishaps. Charlie and I met through a blind date. And I come from a middle-class family. Charlie's family background isn't great. He comes from a single-parent household and was raised solely by his mother. Charlie is quite capable himself, with promising career prospects. But since he doesn't own a house or car here, even with a decent annual salary, he's not very popular in the dating market of our first-tier city. I was interested in Charlie because I valued his personal abilities and appearance, which is why I agreed to date and marry him. But unexpectedly, upon hearing my words, Charlie frowned. He pressed down on my hand that was reaching for the phone. Is it necessary? You've always looked like this. I laughed in frustration. The girl heard it and let out a delicate, muffled laugh. Charlie, how could you talk about a girl like that? After all this time, you're still such a straight man. Even if I were the dumbest person, I could tell the relationship between that girl and Charlie wasn't simple. It might even be an ex-relationship. But I couldn't recognize his ex. Charlie should have. Right. From selecting the makeup artist to the trial and finalizing the look, Charlie was with me throughout the entire process. And he never mentioned this. Was it to give his ex a job opportunity? Or because old feelings still lingered? I don't want to dwell on it and add unnecessary frustration. I picked up the makeup remover and went straight into the bathroom to wash my face. Then I called my parents and told them I needed more time to think about the wedding. If we continue with it today, I think I'll regret it. After all, neither party had registered their marriage. I didn't avoid making the call in front of them. Charlie heard everything clearly. His face darkened almost instantly. His originally calm and composed expression also began to turn gloomy. Just as I was about to speak, a pair of delicate, boneless little hands pulled me back. The girl gently wrapped her arms around Charlie's waist from behind. Charlie, if Miss Daisy doesn't want to marry you, I will. Propose to me. Didn't you promise before that you'd marry no one but me? As she spoke, she stood on tiptoe and kissed Charlie on the lips right in front of me. But I didn't miss the greedy look in her eyes when she stared at the gold and expensive jewelry on the table. Hearing this, Charlie froze, tilting his head slightly. His eyes filled with conflict. When he spoke again, there was a hint of unease and excitement in his tone that even he hadn't noticed. He looked at me. For today, let Amanda attend the wedding in your place and clean up your mess. You're still my wife. So don't worry. Go down and tell your parents. Don't cause any disgraceful scenes. Of course, you could also make a scene. Charlie was certain I would swallow my pride for my parents' sake. He also knew my parents had invited many prominent business partners to today's wedding. With that said, he pulled Amanda and was about to leave. I finally remembered her name. Amanda. Amanda looked at me with a gaze full of triumphant smugness. She stared straight at me, silently curling the corners of her mouth into a provocative smile. It felt like I had stumbled upon a fortune beyond my wildest dreams. I just noticed that beneath her mask, she had already applied exquisite makeup. Compared to the makeup on my face, the difference was like night and day. Even her hair was styled exactly as I had previously requested. Oh, this was premeditated. Sorry, Miss Daisy. I don't want to leave any regrets for myself. If you want to report me to the store, then go ahead. Seeing her indifferent attitude, I couldn't help but get furious. There's no denying that I was genuinely Amanda pissed off. But I knew full well that getting angry wouldn't solve anything at this moment. After I told my parents what had just happened, they looked utterly incredulous. After hastily explaining to the guests we were hosting, they hurried up after me. Seeing that I had truly decided not to marry Charlie, my parents sighed, feeling somewhat guilty. Sweetheart, we had no idea that Carlton's son would be so unreliable. We originally thought that boy was decent and worth nurturing, but it seems that's unnecessary now. Forget it. My daughter certainly doesn't need to chase after or fawn over Charlie. I breathed a sigh of relief. I was also afraid that my parents wouldn't agree. After all, the invited guests are all prominent figures. I was also worried that if I suddenly threw a tantrum and said I wouldn't get married, it would burden my parents. Originally, my parents had planned to introduce Charlie to some connections during the wedding. Seems like it won't be necessary now. This hotel caters to mid to high-end banquets, where the deposit is paid in advance, but the final payment is settled after the wedding. When the two families discussed it earlier, they decided that the Carlton family would cover the deposit. The bride's family will cover the final payment of $700,000 as part of the dowry, a deposit of $30,000, with a final payment of $700,000. Charlie's mom for the sake of face. Had Charlie signed the contract with the hotel at the time. Although the contract states below that the final payment is to be borne by the bride's family, it does not specify my name. Now the woman has become Amanda. Charlie's mom can only ask Amanda for it. Charlie called me and had someone deliver the hardware and jewelry to Amanda. After all, Amanda has already braided her hair and is just waiting for these things. Hearing Amanda's smug laughter on the other end of the phone, I hung up directly and blocked her. Are you kidding? My family paid for all these things. Why should I let Amanda take the credit? Charlie got a bit angry with me after not seeing anyone come over for a long time. Decided to teach me a lesson. He had our posters taken down. He urgently had it replaced with a photo of him and Amanda. The bride's name was also changed to Amanda. Originally, he hadn't planned to change any of this. Just wanted Amanda to stand in for me at the wedding. Now, all this serves as a warning from him to me. Little did he know, this was exactly what I wanted. Now, the woman had completely turned into Amanda. No one could come after me for the debt. I've always been rational, so I chose to cut my losses in time, even if I do have Charlie some feelings for. But sunk costs don't factor into major decisions. Seeing the big screen start displaying photos of herself and Charlie, Amanda was practically overjoyed. Posted in moments and short videos, showing off her high-end wedding. Amanda wore the wedding dress my parents had custom-made for me at a high price in advance. Even if it didn't fit perfectly, she couldn't resist coming to show off to me. Every word she said was laced with veiled sarcasm. Miss Daisy, it seems this dress fits me better than it does you. Charlie, really? Ordering a wedding dress without even getting your measurements right. I'll have to talk to him about this later. Doesn't know how to take care of people at all. Such a typical straight guy. She curled her lips in a smirk. Seeing I remained unmoved, she didn't get upset either. By the way, Charlie just called in a senior professional makeup artist on short notice. The kind that charges $10,000 an hour. He said, what bride does her own makeup? That guy, still as stubborn as ever. Never listens to advice. Not frugal at all. Miss Daisy, don't take it to heart. We really made you spend a lot today. If he keeps acting like this in the future, just call me, and I'll talk to him. Miss Daisy, thank you for your generosity today, fulfilling a long-held wish of mine and Charlie's. Amanda covered her mouth with a light laugh, her gaze full of provocation as she looked at me, disgustingly blatant in her malice. I let out a cold laugh. It seems Charlie isn't completely clueless. He just can't be bothered to care. I had just endured wearing makeup that clearly didn't suit me. Yet he said this is how I naturally look, and no expensive makeup artist could change that. When it comes to Amanda, he considers every detail. They even hired a professional makeup artist. But does he have the money? I went downstairs and found a few close girlfriends who were supposed to be my bridesmaids today, meant to be upstairs with me. Unfortunately, the Carlton family only had Charlie's mom alone, and with so much to handle, I had to ask them to come down and help. Never thought Amanda would take advantage of the loophole. We stripped off Amanda's wedding dress. I'd rather lose it than let her wear it. Amanda was furious. The once smug little face was now filled with grief and indignation. Miss Daisy, aren't you going too far? This was all paid for by Charlie. What right do you have to stop me from wearing it? She thought this was the wedding dress chosen by Charlie, which is why she dared to flaunt it in front of me so brazenly. She thought that now that Charlie had made it big, she could easily KO me, the current partner, by leveraging their past relationship. That's why I planned today's act. Thinking of this, I suddenly became even more excited. What does she plan to do if she realizes she misjudged? Things are starting to get interesting. Now that we've forcibly taken off her wedding dress, Amanda felt humiliated and called Charlie in tears. Charlie received Amanda's call and, without even attending to the guests, hurriedly rushed upstairs. Upon reaching the top, he saw Amanda stripped bare, crouching on the ground and crying. His pupils constricted sharply, and his handsome face darkened with fury. He stepped forward, took off his suit jacket, and wrapped Amanda in his arms. Then he picked up Amanda in a princess carry, forcefully kicked open the door, and took Amanda to another dressing room. As he left, the look he gave me was filled with the simmering anger of an impending storm. Daisy, you've got some nerve. While I was downstairs securing business partners for your father, this is how you treat me. Then go entertain them yourselves. His eyes were full of warning, expecting me to compromise, to coax him into networking with my father's connections. What makes him think he's such a hot commodity? Surely you don't think they came because they saw potential in him as a future son-in-law. To keep Amanda happily continuing as his bride, Charlie waved his hand grandly and used his last $100,000 in savings to immediately book a wedding dress for Amanda. A dedicated delivery would take just 20 minutes. Renting this wedding dress for a single day costs $100,000. $100,000 just to appease Amanda. Though not as nice as mine, it's still better than the others. Now Amanda was even more convinced that Charlie had come into money. But Charlie forgot. The makeup artist he just booked for Amanda charged 20 grand. Charlie has now spent the last 100,000. Does he really think I'd cover for him just to save face? Humph. After the wedding dress arrived, Amanda finally stopped crying and smiled. Her voice still a bit nasal as she started to act coquettish. Charlie, I'm going to punish you. Charlie couldn't help softening his voice. How do you want to punish me? I called all my girlfriends over. I'm so happy our happiness can be witnessed by everyone. Amanda sat on the dressing table swinging her legs, stroking the newly delivered high-end wedding dress. Just kidding. I couldn't bear to punish you. I'll punish your wife by making her contribute to our wedding. Hee hee. Am I being really bad? To annoy me, and to show off in front of her sisters. From Charlie's side, it was learned that the bride's family would pay the final installment. Amanda had the hotel staff add several very expensive dishes to each table at the last minute. Each table had an additional $5,000 worth of dishes, totaling an extra $100,000 for 20 tables. Charlie couldn't help but chuckle softly. Learning to be naughty. It's time to make her bleed a little. She's indeed not as obedient as you. Charlie kept his word to punish me for my disobedience. He truly stayed on the second floor the whole time, accompanying Amanda while she did her makeup. Even the new makeup artist couldn't help but keep praising how good their relationship was. He thought his actions would make me feel uneasy and cause me to step back. Little did he know, my parents and I had already explained the reasons to those guests, and they had gradually dispersed. Out of the original 20 tables of guests, only 3 or 4 remained. All of them were Charlie's people. They still don't understand what happened. Completely confused. The banquet tables were pre-ordered, and even though many guests left, the same number of tables were still served as originally planned. Amanda won't pay a single cent less than what's owed. Charlie came downstairs and saw that most of the guests had left. His face turned dark with anger. Daisy, even if you want to make a scene, shouldn't you consider the occasion? Do your parents also agree with you causing such a disturbance? Do you have any idea how much trouble I went through today just to accommodate your people? Seeing how indifferent I looked, he got angry too. Fine, Daisy. You've got guts. Our commotion also drew quite a crowd of onlookers among the guests. Everyone looked at each other, not daring to speak. Mom and Dad also looked upset, but they didn't say anything. Since we won't have any interaction in the future anyway, there's no need to argue with them. Amanda finished applying her makeup. The makeup artist also needs to be paid. After all, they found this professional makeup artist last minute, and they won't wait until after the wedding to ask for payment. Charlie told the makeup artist to come to me for the money. I definitely won't pay. The makeup artist also snapped back to reality and began firmly demanding Amanda and Charlie to settle the bill. Charlie had no choice but to come to me, his tone softening a bit. Daisy, stop making a scene. I understand you're upset today, but could you pay first? You've vented enough by now. Just be good and listen. Okay. Now he's starting to panic. Why put on such a big act when you had no skills to begin with? The more they panic, the happier I am. In the end, it was Charlie's mom who paid. Hearing that she had to give $20,000, Charlie's mom felt her heart bleeding. So, when she found out the bride had been replaced at the last minute, she didn't object at all. Instead, she thought Charlie did the right thing. That's exactly how it should be. What kind of wife doesn't rely on her man? Back in our day, a woman like that would have been beaten to death sooner or later. Teaching her a lesson is good. It'll keep her from getting too big for her britches. To spite me, Charlie's mom specially prepared a red envelope with $5,000 for Amanda. A thick red envelope was deliberately stuffed into Amanda's hand right in front of me. During the wedding, they even held Amanda's hand and introduced her to all their relatives. Carlton's family members noticed the bride was clearly not the same person, but they all tacitly remained silent. Everyone pretended to be deaf and dumb, as if no one had noticed. The wedding followed a pre-arranged schedule, and although the photos were changed, it didn't make much difference. The ceremony went smoothly. Amanda stood there with a clear conscience, exchanging rings with Charlie. Even on the wedding night, everyone tacitly avoided pointing out that the person was not the right one. Charlie either genuinely or pretended to be drunk, went along with the mistake and spent the wedding night with Amanda. My parents were so angry they threw away many of Charlie's previously given gifts. Even if the marriage doesn't work out, Charlie's behavior is truly disgusting. I'm actually not that angry anymore. Charlie had hidden his true nature well before, which is why feelings developed for him. Now that his mask has been removed, revealing his true face, I actually find this person repulsive. The original benefits were quickly replaced by disgust. My parents, worried about touching a sore spot, spent the whole day carefully observing my state. Only when they saw that I truly didn't care much did they finally breathe a sigh of relief. Charlie's phone call didn't come until after 10 o'clock the next morning. His voice still carried the weariness of a hangover. "Did you stay home last night?" I couldn't help but laugh. If I hadn't gone home, would I have gone to watch two shameless people celebrate their wedding night? Hearing my scoff, Charlie also came to his senses. His tone carried a hint of flustered anger. "Daisy, are you still making a scene? We need to explain things to the relatives today. Get yourself ready and come meet me at the new house." The hotel also called me, saying it's time to settle the final payment. "This should originally be your family's matter, but since we're already married, I'll go with you." Charlie clearly hasn't grasped the situation yet. I couldn't help it and cursed. "Idiot," before hanging up the phone. "Can't afford it. What's that got to do with me?" I finished breakfast in a good mood, then drove to Amanda's shop. Time to pay up. The store manager was delighted to see me, thinking I'd come to settle the final payment. "Miss Daisy, happy wedding. Wishing you a speedy arrival of your precious child." Hearing the manager's congratulations, I only felt it was ironic. I saw Amanda. A rare occasion she remembered to come to work today. Went to be a makeup artist. Ended up being the bride for a day. When she saw me, Amanda couldn't hide the triumph in her eyes. She was leisurely applying makeup for a client. Seeing how radiant she looked, it was clear that Charlie must have made her some promise. So even when she saw me coming, obviously here to settle scores, she remained unruffled. I asked the store manager with a forced smile, "Do your store's makeup artists also handle bridal representation work?" The store manager was taken aback, looking somewhat confused. Without beating around the bush, I briefly explained what happened yesterday. The more I spoke, the more the manager's expression darkened. Later on, the smile on her face could hardly hold. "Amanda, is it true? You're a long-time employee of our store. You couldn't have made such a mistake, could you?" According to their store's policy, in such cases, they would have to compensate me at least 10 times the cost of the makeup and styling. Amanda forced an awkward smile with feigned reluctance. "Miss Daisy, you can't do this, can you? If you don't want to pay, just say so. There's no need to throw dirt on me." Hearing her denial, the shop owner breathed a sigh of relief. "Miss Daisy, is there some misunderstanding here?" I was just about to ask what misunderstanding there could possibly be when a strong force yanked my arm. "All right, stop taking advantage of such small things. I've told you before not to do this. That young girl working as a makeup artist has it tough enough as it is. There's no need to make things difficult for her or risk her losing her job over such a small amount of money." "I'm sorry, manager." My wife had a momentary lapse in judgment. Standing behind me was none other than Charlie. Upon hearing Charlie's words, the manager immediately looked at me with disdain. "Miss Daisy, are you bullying our shop girls because you think they have no one to stand up for them? Looking all proper and decent, yet stooping to take such petty advantages. Your husband already admitted it. What more do you have to say? If you're broke, just say so. No need to put on such a rich act before. Pay the remaining balance promptly. Not a single cent less." Seeing Amanda's smug look, I finally understood why she was so brazen. Is this a collusion with Charlie? But what no one expected was that I called the police directly. When the police arrived, everyone's expressions turned grim. The store manager was worried about the impact on the business, while Charlie and Amanda seemed somewhat panicked. I have photos, videos, and even yesterday's wedding footage. I also took Charlie and Amanda's poster photos. The two were instantly left speechless, observing our complicated relationship. An older police officer hesitated to speak. In the end, he couldn't hold back and stepped out to send a message to his wife. "Honey, today was an eye-opener for me. After decades in this profession, I've seen all sorts of bizarre things. But this is the first time I've encountered something this outrageous. I'll share it with you tonight. Charlie also realized that I wasn't just being difficult or joking with him. I was genuinely planning not to marry him. His originally carefree attitude gradually began to change. Finally, the store compensated me tenfold. Amanda was also fired after compensating the store. Making such a mistake. Amanda is almost blacklisted from this profession locally. Seeing how happy I looked, Amanda was so angry her face twisted. Amanda originally wanted to show off her affection with Charlie to vent her frustration. But Charlie pushed her away. He was uncharacteristically nervous. "Honey, let's go get our marriage certificate this afternoon. I've been thinking, and I feel we should still have a proper wedding ceremony for you. Once things settle down, I'll talk to your parents, and I'll take you abroad for our honeymoon." He looked at me with some tension in his eyes. He finally realized that I truly wasn't going to pay the hotel's final installment. I smirked with mischievous delight, pointing at Amanda who was genuinely watching from behind him. I kindly reminded him, "Your wife is waiting for you back there. Don't mistake the target." "All right. Had a wonderful wedding night, didn't you? Wishing you an early arrival of your precious child." Amanda got sued, along with Charlie. The hotel, having waited in vain for the payment, sent a specialized team to sue the two in court. When the hotel went to Amanda to ask for money, Amanda was still in a daze. After she read the contract, she immediately wanted to distance herself. She wanted to say Charlie married me, not her. But looking at the photos and videos the hotel helped capture, her throat tightened for a long time, unable to utter a single word. She was so anxious that she immediately went to find Charlie. Charlie was also overwhelmed with anxiety. Previously, because he was preparing to marry me, our family had introduced many clients to him. My parents genuinely intended to nurture this son-in-law as their own son, allocating considerable resources to him. Now almost everyone knows that Charlie and our family's good thing won't come to fruition. They all backed out one after another, either not answering his calls or speaking in circles, never nodding in agreement to purchase from Charlie's company. Seeing the leader's attitude towards him getting worse and worse, Charlie finally began to feel afraid. Using the many contacts he had collected at previous banquets, he called them one by one, hoping to develop new clients, but no one gave him that courtesy. After all, he had originally relied on our family's connections. Now that he had fallen out with us, and in such an ugly way, it would be strange if anyone still showed him favor. The hotel also put pressure on both of them, and for a while, Charlie became completely demoralized. Amanda showed up at the door while Charlie was still scratching his head and making phone calls. Seeing him like this, Amanda was also startled. Reluctantly, Charlie had to sell the marital home he had painstakingly saved up to buy. In his rush for money, he lost over $300,000. The moment the money hit his account, he immediately transferred it to the hotel. Charlie's mom learned that her son had sold the marital home, leaving her without a place to live in the city. Worried about being laughed at by other relatives if she returned, she insisted on Charlie squeezing into the rental with her. Yet, under the strain of material deprivation, even between mother and son, friction was inevitable. Once again being Charlie blamed, Charlie's mom came to my house full of resentment. She started yelling at me without any hesitation. Some people in the neighborhood had seen Charlie's mom, but didn't know what had happened between our families, and even kindly helped knock on the door. My mom was at home, and when she saw Charlie's mom, the anger she had been holding in for a month finally burst out, and the two of them started shouting at each other. I have to say, my mom truly lived up to her former reputation as a strong woman. Her wealth of knowledge left me utterly amazed. At the very least, my mom still felt somewhat embarrassed to engage in a shouting match, thinking it was beneath her dignity. But once her temper fully flared up, she ended up berating Charlie's mom for 3 straight hours without repeating a single insult. Charlie's mom ended up humiliated and slunk away in defeat. I found out when I came back from work, seeing my mom looking refreshed and energetic, and asked her about it. What surprised me even more was that my words really came true. Amanda is pregnant. She had added me on IG before, but I blocked her. After getting pregnant, she created another account to add me. She kept subtly and overtly flaunting her pregnancy. Having lost her job, Amanda clung even tighter to Charlie. Charlie's mom initially disapproved and didn't agree, but the wedding banquet had already been held. Amanda was also pregnant, and in order to hold her grandchild, she could only grudgingly accept Amanda. Charlie might have genuine feelings for Amanda, After learning that Amanda was pregnant, he formally proposed to Amanda. The two naturally got their marriage certificate. After marriage, the two finally saw each other's true colors. Charlie finally understood why Amanda had gone back to her ex. Discovering that Amanda only cared about money and not people, he couldn't help but feel disgusted. He had already changed jobs, and sometimes it was unclear whether he was genuinely busy with work or just using it as an excuse. But he was rarely at home, not to mention caring about Amanda. And Amanda finally realized she had misjudged him. Charlie's previous act of seeming successful was fake. The wealthy lifestyle she originally wanted was slipping further away from her. Adding to this, Charlie frequently stayed away from home for days, growing increasingly suspicious, which led to more and more conflicts between them. Their arguments became quite ugly. Charlie's mom would only side with her son, insinuating in her words that Amanda was worthless and desperate to throw herself at her son. This infuriated Amanda to the point of stomach pain, but she knew that if she lost even the child, her status would only become lower. She had simply been enduring it all along. Everything about them was told to me by a younger cousin from the Carlton family. She was the Carlton family relative I was closest to before. On the day we were supposed to get married, she was going to come, but she was preparing for her final exams and couldn't get time off, so she didn't make it. When she found out I wouldn't become her sister-in-law, she felt sad for a while. From time to time, she would share Charlie's latest updates with me. I rarely replied, but she didn't mind. Met again with Charlie. It was at a restaurant. Charlie was on another blind date. The other person looked down on him for being divorced with kids, having no car or house, and even a difficult-to-care-for elderly mother. They spoke to him quite rudely. Charlie had been enduring silently until he saw me. Whether it was due to inflated confidence or something else, Charlie suddenly shed his previous timidity and spoke with disdain. "And what about you? Are you any better? A brother waiting to suck you dry, and an ex you broke up with barely 3 days ago." The other party didn't expect Charlie to speak so bluntly. In a fit of anger, I couldn't help but splash a glass of water on Charlie's face. Charlie didn't speak again. After having the waiter hand him a tissue, he sat quietly wiping his face. He gave me a complicated look: regret, frustration, sorrow, and a touch of apology. I don't care either. Fortunately, Charlie wasn't shameless enough to come over and strike up a conversation with me. By the time I finished dinner with my friend and looked over again, Charlie had already left at some point. I felt a wave of emotion for a moment. When I first met Charlie, it was here. Now, meeting again in the same place, Charlie still failed in the blind date. Facing the same situation, I no longer want to spare another glance at that person. Perhaps this is what they call a doomed relationship. The end. Extra story. Charlie's chapter. I noticed the girl at the next table during my first failed blind date. Her polite conversation was quite captivating. What surprised me even more was that she took the initiative to talk to me. That's how we got to know each other. To be honest, I had a strong desire to conquer her. Her background, abilities, and looks were all outstanding. She outshone me in almost every aspect. At first, I thought I could accept this gap, but gradually I realized I wasn't as magnanimous as I imagined. Every time I chat with clients at work, they always intentionally or unintentionally bring up Mr. Lin. They keep praising me for finding such a good wife, which makes me feel somewhat stifled. I believe my abilities are not lacking. Even without Daisy, I could definitely collaborate with them. I just didn't have the means before. Yet it seems no one thinks so. Even my boss, when praising me, can't help but compliment me on finding a good wife. I feel somewhat irritated. Back and forth. My feelings for Daisy have grown increasingly complicated. I always feel like I'm a step below their family. When we originally booked the banquet, I had already promised my mom we'd hold it at a hotel back in my hometown. But Daisy disagreed, insisting that her family would pay and that we should hold it at a hotel in the city. A single wedding can easily cost several $100,000. At that moment, I truly realized the vast gap between Daisy and me. It wasn't just about family background, but also about vision and perspective. I don't know what exactly I was thinking when Amanda kissed me in that instant. Some panic, and a bit of secret delight. Seeing Daisy rarely get angry gave me a secret satisfaction. See, I'm quite charming too. Most importantly, I knew Amanda left me before because she looked down on my circumstances. Amanda's turnaround allowed me to finally experience the sense of conquest I couldn't feel with Daisy. So, against my better judgment, I agreed to Amanda's unreasonable request. I thought Daisy would feel a sense of crisis after this incident. She would start acting like other women, gradually trying to please me, wondering every day whether I truly loved her. But I never expected things to backfire so badly. Daisy, when she called the police, I finally realized how foolish my thoughts had been. I admit, in that moment I was utterly terrified. I feared the overwhelming debt awaiting me. I feared Daisy would truly abandon me. Yet what I feared most still came to pass. Amanda is pregnant, so I have to marry her. Looking at the woman I once swore to make her pay, now truly carrying my child and becoming my wife, my feelings are indescribably complicated. This complicated emotion destined that the relationship between me and Amanda could only end in divorce. I knew long ago that she was cheating with a small business owner. But I don't care. I know that small boss. Amanda getting involved with him won't lead to any good outcome. Sure enough, she couldn't stay any longer and took the initiative to ask me for a divorce. She didn't ask for the child or the money. There's only one demand. Get a divorce as soon as possible. I naturally agreed. Perhaps because I knew she wouldn't come to a good end, I agreed to the divorce almost immediately. Then I waited to see Amanda get her comeuppance. Although I don't love Amanda, no man can accept being cheated on. She wasn't stabbed to death by someone hired by the small business owner's wife. She was playing both sides. And after being discovered by one of the small business owners, she was killed by someone he hired. As I said before, no man can accept being cheated on, even if it's just an affair. When I found out Amanda had been stabbed to death, I wasn't shocked at all. I just lamented that my child would no longer have a biological mother. After my mother learned about Amanda's death, she urged me to go on blind dates quickly, not wanting my son to be without a mother. I never thought I'd meet Daisy again. She still shines so brightly. I feel like a rat in the gutter. I know I have no face to go up and reminisce with her. I also know that the biggest problem between Daisy and me is caused by my despicable, twisted pride. I don't blame anyone. So while she wasn't paying attention, I quietly left. Consider it the last shred of dignity I kept for myself.